So that has become more and more, and not only us, but also our partner agencies. And how we're reconnecting with our partner agencies that we used to get and sit back in our office and wait for women to come to us, and they refer them to us. We're all out there together. I think just Saturday, Chris and Monica were at the Midtown opening, which launched the opening of the Cleveland Foundation, and Towards Employment, Ohio Means Jobs, DGS, all of those agencies in the Midtown area especially, we're all there and we're all doing the same thing. Can you sign up here and we'll follow up with you? So we're partnering with them, but also that partnership is in a different way. And then you look at the shift of our operations. Part of the shift was what you saw me doing today. How do I get my PowerPoint? Because we don't have laptops that have software on them. We have to go to our SharePoint, which means we can access anything, anywhere. But we shifted to our own network in April of 22. So we're just coming into a year. So that means learning a whole new system, Microsoft 365 coming in this room. You know, there's so many components to that. But thank God we formulated a task force of technology. Mary and Michelle, thank you for making a how-to. But so that was a major shift for Just for Success. Also, we shifted into our own independence from BGS. 15 years being a subsidiary of BGS kept us, it was comfortable, but it also kept us covered and in the dark of so many components that make you independent and doing for ourselves, deciding who's our accounting firm, who's going to do our auditing, so many decisions, getting our own insurance, all of that became a reality directly to Just for Success. And then also making sure, you know, our accounting, BGS was our accounting department, even though they were internal, and it seemed like they were right next, well, they were right next door, down the hall. But getting an outsourced accounting firm to do our accounting, and now learning QuickBooks to a certain degree before we pass it on to them. Holy ballgame. So there's a lot of shifts, and then shifts in staff. You know, we've had pretty much 2016 through 19, we have a staff of 4. That was pretty consistent. And then we had 2 downsides in March of 2020. And then we came back in June of 2020, and there was just 2 staff members. And then in 2022, we went to 3. We got Monica added in July of 22. And then, but then right after that, Allison left. And so, who we had for 3 years. And then in September of 2022, Beyond joined us. And so now you have 2 new staff, relatively 2 new staff members, learning kind of like not what I know, what I'm discovering as well. And so then in May of 2023, we added Chris. And distinctly, thank God, I could take off my program hat and give it to somebody else. And Chris has been doing our programming. And then as of today, we're going to be returning as of tomorrow. We're going to be returning to a staff of 3 because Monica is leaving us. So I want to publicly say thank you, Monica, for your service and being my ride or die in those couple of months before we start adding to staff. But so we are in the midst of change consistently, all the time. And then the other thing that's happened is a shift in mission goals from a global standpoint. Our whole Just for Success as a global entity is shifting. We don't even know at this point if our name is still going to be Just for Success in a couple of months from now. That is a serious matter on the table from the global standpoint. But what we do know, when they started with kind of like a backwards before renaming, they start doing the inside discovery of who are we today, and what are our goals, and what are our kind of visions for the organization, and what's our service model. And now they're going backwards to decide on what will the name be. Will it be a change in name, or will it be a change in just a tagline? But right now, these are our 4 goals of why we are in business. And we are here to help women secure a meaningful employment with a livable wage. We're here to provide a network of support to help women sustain employment. Many of you might have known that as PWG before. It was just a program, but and it was a component of us, but it wasn't our main vision. We're here to improve the financial acumen and economic stability of women. And we're here to expand the awareness of the issues that impact women that we serve. So when in 2022, before they put this out, we started venturing into that thought leadership. That's what that is. So Sunday, we were at the Caribou, and I think Michelle had the opportunity to come out and support us. And we were basically, it was about thought leadership, because we were out to inform women about the legislation about the Crown Act. And that is the discrimination mainly of women of color, but also women, just our freedom of choice of how do we are here, that not be an issue to moving up and being recognized for the skills that we have in certain environments. So we are continuing to support that initiative. Our goal is to get into some of the HR, or bring some of the HR departments and of some of the corporations we are affiliated with into the realization of the dynamics of that situation. And then we've had a shift in services. So now, we used to have all of these acronyms, PWG, GPN, and you had to guess what those were for. Job readiness. And from a worldwide, trying to fit a local organization into a global organization, sometimes there was a disconnect as to what was relative in each of our communities. So Worldwide has really done, I think, a great job at kind of going into the weeds and into the field and finding out what we do and then realigning what they say we do, instead of us the other way around, which was a huge kind of political change at Dress for Success. And that came from us having globally a new leader. We've had the same leaders for 24 years until last year. So our leader of Dress for Success, Michelle Meyer-Ship, just celebrated 1 year in February of this year. So there's a lot of shifting going on from a global aspect down to a local aspect. And so this is going to help us not have to hide what we do or downplay what we do. It gives us a lot, these 4 buckets gives us a lot of room to be creative in our own local regions and be able to serve women as needed where we are. So, and you'll notice that the order is also important. The order of these services, career coaching and readiness is first, upscaling and rescaling is second, network and community is third, and last, which we used to lead with, is styling a professional attire. There are a lot of affiliates, when we went to conference that we learned, do not even give the styling a professional attire service until you've done one of the 3 other areas first. We aren't to that degree, but it is our goal that our boutique on wheels, which is our kind of our styling services and new model of delivery, that we are now going to try to make sure that we go out with multiple areas of service and not just the clothes. So when you ask us to come out, we're going to ask you, can we have a mock interview session? Can we do a development workshop? Can we, something to that effect as well. And then a shift in our foundation, which is kind of what we celebrated in June of this year with adding Little Black Dress and Tie Club. And we had an initiative to add this in 2020, but we started March 6th and what was it, March 15th? We all went home for 2 years. So the shift in our foundation is really, really important because the original foundation of Dress for Success is a volunteer-based organization. We say that worldwide. But the truth of the matter is, volunteers are diminishing. Volunteers, as we used to know them, and could count on 4 volunteers. I believe Maddie was one of those we used to count on. Maddie and Donna Dabs. When I was the admin for Dress for Success, we used to come every Wednesday, because Key Bank had an initiative where you came out and did service. And then we had a Monday group, we had a Tuesday group, and a Thursday group, and this was the same every week, and it rotated. But we had 3 and 4 personal stylists a week that were dedicated. That's no longer the case. I would say 50% of who used to be a volunteer have now had themselves to transition back into the workforce because of the economy at large, or they are in locations that they've had to cut back spending, and they no longer are driving from different locations to come down to where we are. I know like Chagrin Falls, or, when I moved there, locations, they've had to cut back lifestyle change, make lifestyle changes, which changes their dynamics. So our program volunteers is still the core of how we do what we do. But we also, as staff, are doing more of our own facilitation and legwork. The addition of Little Black Dress and Tie Club, like I said, was just June 1st, and we're hoping that that brings a whole new entity of support and awareness community-wise. We have 11 members from June 1st, and we've met with 6 of them, and they're actively doing a project that will expand the awareness or fill a gap to Dress for Success by the end of 2023. And I think it's this Friday, we have the meeting with the other 5 to say, what project are you doing? This also brings a certain amount of economic revenue to Dress for Success. There's a $300 or $25 a month give to be a member of Little Black Dress. So, and then we have our board of directors. And even though our board of directors is a volunteer position or role, it's not the same as being a program volunteer or being in Little Black Dress. It has a little bit more accountability to its structure. And as you heard when we just did the round robin, 55% of our board is like less than a year old. Okay, the majority. Only 45%, which means 9 of you are more than 2 years, are more than a year and a half of being with Dress for Success. We have 20 active board members, and we have 5 auxiliary board members. So that's a composite of 25. So when you think about that, there's a lot of shifting going on at Dress for Success.
Sorry.
Was that you?
Yes, unfortunately.
So, thank you, Megan. So, with that said, it's time for us to shift our approach. There's an old adage, and I think I hear it a lot from Mary, what got us here will not keep us here, and it certainly will not keep us vibrant and relative 25 more years in the community. So we have to change our approach. And to change our approach, we have to change our mindset. We have to change our behaviors. We have to change our accountability. And we have to change our sense of urgency. We can know there's no part of us, and I think all parts of us used to kind of sit back and it came to us. Board members, BBU used to, if it didn't come from BBU, it probably didn't happen as far as developing the board. If it didn't come from an agency sending us a woman, we certainly weren't going out to job fairs and Caribou and in somebody's parking lot over here at Magnum High School. And I mean, like, we weren't doing that. It came to us. There is no part of us that's coming to us anymore. And the efforts that we're making, the outreach efforts, you heard me say about this, we did 9 and then we've done 10 so far and got 5 on the horizon for August. But even with volunteers, we do 2 volunteer trainings a month And there's at least 4 to 5 women in each of those trainings that are coming into our organization. We developed a new platform just to house and to track volunteer hours. Last year, our volunteer hours were 7,795 hours dedicated. Break that down, how many jobs is that? That's like 2 people. So we can't rest on our laurels, we cannot wait for things to come to us. We have got to change it around and be a little bit more aggressive and go out and get what we need to run the organization. Because one of the things that Michelle Meyership made clear at conference is that we are no longer in have the freedom or luxury to think of this as a nonprofit. It's a business.
That's right.
Nonprofit is a tax status.
That's right.
That's it. We're a business. We're a business. We are made to make money. We do something different than just gain a profit, but we're made to make money. We're here to serve a purpose. And the funding aspect, you no longer can just talk about your outputs. You have to talk about your outcomes to get funding. You have to have a matrix. You have to know what you did. And you have to have ideas of where you're going and specific programming. There's very few funding opportunities that's just general operating. So with that, we have to do more on all levels. So what we wanted to start with today was looking at, as Camille said, our foundation has to shift because there's more, the house is getting bigger. And you can't grow out like that and not grow the foundation. So the foundation, when it starts with our board. And one of the things this is the main 3 responsibilities of our board, which is already we've agreed upon November, Michael? November 22, we did that training and we kind of rewrote our bylaws, updated our bylaws. And we came up with this kind of roadmap. And all of these things on this slide are in those bylaws. Our duty of care, our duty of loyalty, our duty of obedience. And that duty of obedience is now talking about it's a duty of obedience to the bylaws, to the mission statement, to what we're here to do. And we really need to be more accountable to what does that really mean. And so I think sometimes when you have to make a shift, how you go about doing it changes. And so what I'm proposing is that we reorganize just a bit to be more purpose and more direct. And this is the organization chart that aligns the board with my role and then aligns how the board will interact with the committees and task force that are needed. And we have the HR, just in November, I think we added HR and technology task force. Those are really directly to me because those help fill because of our shortage of staff. And we, being small, we don't have that inner support. And as we grow the organization, not because you guys are task force and doing a bang up job, but I'm hoping that becomes a role inside of the operations of Dress for Success. And then we have our board chair who has hopefully 2 vice chairs. Right now, only 1 vice chair role is filled, hoping to get another one, our treasurer and our secretary. But with the 2 vice chair roles, we're hoping that the one will sit and kind of be the liaison for fundraising, and one will sit and be the liaison for governance. And then that way, at the executive level, all of the legs of the organization are reporting back to the executive level, and the treasurer is simultaneously also the finance chair. So, back in February, we introduced this cycle, but with all of this shift, I think this will make more sense at this time. But this is the cycle, because timing is everything. If you come to the party late and everybody's gone, what happened?
Partying by yourself.
And you partying by yourself. And this is a collaborative effort. So this cycle of January through December, and this is aligned, not every single month, but this is aligned with when we have board meetings This is where we should be at. In January, and I'll start actually with October. In October, November, we should be voting on the budget, and we should be making sure we understand what we're doing for the next year. And then by December, that should be out to the public, and we're already soliciting like sponsorships and support. And then by January, we have two different levels of support, right? We have just direct event support, and we have global sponsorships. Global sponsorships start in February. We can't ask somebody for global sponsorships after March is over. So global sponsorships need to be filled by January to really be honorable back to the person who took that loan. And then in February and March, those are our really high active months with the women's empowerment issues. And that is where we should already be stabilized. And then from there, ask for more distinguished event-related, directly event sponsorships of those who did not come in. And that sponsorship is kind of a cultivation level as well, from being like, maybe start out being an event sponsor, but eventually we're hoping to grow you to be a global sponsor. So all of this timing is essential to how the organization to support our growth. And then as far as committees, this is what I'm proposing, is that we change fundraising from being a task force to a full-fledged committee. And it, as the head, decides on the events and campaigns and the SYOBs and all of that. And then they have task force, that's where events planning task force, the campaign task force, SYOB task force, which are things we all have had, but that's where you come on in to execute the plan. So a task force is about action, and the fundraising is about planning, and also the fundraising is about that donor development and cultivation. Without donors, we're dead. 58% of our organization of our size and of our mission 58% of our fundraising should be individual donors, because that's who we serve. We also have strong corporate sponsored support. But we need to work them. We need to get to know them. We need to, graduate them. I mean, this year, I gotta tell you, we've been Dominion. I'm just gonna call you out. You went from
Dominion's in the house.
Went from 2,500 to 5,000. That's cultivating a relationship. And I remember the first time we used to have this kind of cultivation process called Getting to Know Us Breakfast. And Tracy Oliver from Dominion came to one of our first breakfasts, and in less than an hour after she left, she donated $1,000, because that was our beginning level at that time. And that is a relationship, and we've cultivated a relationship. We've made sure we've gotten them from there. She made sure somebody got on the board. It's a relationship. And then when she left that, she introduced me to the new person who I already knew from Case, and so it's about cultivating relationships, and that's what we need to do a little bit and have more focus on. So we need a team focused on just that. We have donors that have been with us, over the 25 years. We have this one donor, even Dion and Monica know that. She comes in, she donates clothes, she's retired, she's getting ready to become a volunteer. But faithfully, and when she was working faithfully, she mailed her donations in every quarter. But her donation contained a check. Now her check used to be $250, now it's $100, because she's like, I got my retirement last, but she's still there. Okay? Those are cultivating relationships. And so that's my proposal, and kind of lead into discussion, and I'll turn it back over to Camille. But that is what I suggest, how we are going to sustain this organization, and not just sustain so that we're here, but to sustain so we can grow. I shared this with our staff yesterday, and I think it was Dion who asked me, what is my vision for the next 25 years? And I thought I was like, okay. But the vision is my vision is that we have satellite offices so that women who don't think Dress for Success is for them because of the connotation we have that we are only for a certain sector of women, that they'll feel comfortable coming to our office, whether it's in Beechwood, Gates Mills, or whatever neighborhood it would be, and that we look like an entity that a woman who's just in need of getting back, rescaling, upscaling, can come into that facility and not have to kind of tuck her hat or put her hat on because she's coming to a certain location that has a certain image. I also would like to make sure that we're in all locations and not just Cuyahoga County. I also would like to see no more SYOBs, a permanent thrift store.
Yeah.
So that's my vision for Dress for Success.
Yeah.
So with that, and I think the last slide here is that this is another slide from our onboarding packet, our kind of Bible, is that if we truly do the plan that was suggested, we can truly get to this point where operations are operations and board management is board management. Thank you.
Breathe. That was a lot.
Sorry.
That was good.
You know I talk a lot.
So before we close, I just want to see if anyone has any questions, comments, or feedback on what was just presented. Yes, Diamond.
Thank you, Melanie, for sharing. I like the transparency of your leadership. You always let us know this is where we stand and this is where we need to go. I love the idea of a fundraising committee and then having those task force. One thing I want to challenge us all as board members to keep in mind is that if that happens, and I think that's a great idea and it should happen, that it still belongs to all of us. The fundraising, a lot of times I've been guilty of it. I'm not on that committee, I'm doing this, so they've got it. I trust that they're gonna do it. And it takes some of the ownership and the responsibility and accountability off of me. So if this were to happen, there's room for all of us to serve, to do something, whether it's just tell your networks, whether it's you come and you support, or you buy a table, or you get your corporation to do something, but to really just be mindful of that moving forward, that it belongs to all of us. And that's a mind state transition. We've been not seeing each other. I'm so happy to see everyone here today, and maybe not really feeling connected and keeping that in mind. So let's encourage one another to do whatever it is that we can do.
That's good.
Is there any way that we can get a copy of those slides if you feel it would be appropriate?
Yeah. I can share
Yes,
some.
I can send it out.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
I'll just piggyback on that a little bit. I think for me, it sounds maybe a little bit intimidating at first, that we've got kind of a baby board. And looking at the shift, it's almost like a baby organization, even though we've been here 25 years. But I think it's also a big opportunity because we are all new-ish and we are shifting, to really get in that mindset where if we can get to this vision, then the board is going to be picking up more fundraising, right? It's what we need to do. So I guess that's just my take on it, is that while it might seem a little intimidating, we're young, I think it's a big opportunity to really go out there and rebrand ourselves as a very necessary organization in this climate, right? In this shift that's happening to everybody, from a workplace standpoint. So I look at it as an opportunity, and I'm excited to be here at the beginning of it with all of you.
Emily, I think what you said about us being a baby, that's who we are. We are a baby. Because being up under an umbrella of an organization for 15 years, and really, even though we've been here 25 years, we've only been on our own for 2 years. And so you really got to think of us as, from a structural standpoint, we're 2 years old.
You know, with post-COVID, I feel like we're our world is a little bit 2 years old.
Yeah,
We're,
exactly.
you know, it is an opportunity for us to adapt the organization to the world that we live in.
Any other questions, comments?
No, I was just gonna say, Camille and Melanie, this is really excellent, and as we talk about, you know, that shifting, as you guys mentioned, we always have to keep in mind, and I always tell people, think Dress for Success 24/7. You're at a grocery store, and, you know, be aggressive in talking about the mission of Dress for Success. Don't leave it just when we come to the board meeting or when we're in the committee. You know, I think that's how I brought Sarah on. We started talking about something totally different and brought up Dress for Success. But that's one way of us as board members to really move the mission along, because we're actually building within our network and talking about Dress for Success. So you have to be as passionate as Melanie. And she's like, I always say girl on fire, because she's always there. But we have to take some of that passion and actually talk about network, you know, about Dress for Success and what we do and the women we serve.
And I wanted to say, sometimes we think in like bigger nuggets than we have to. I think, oh my God, I can't raise $1,000. But think about a really good example was this year, the AKAs dedicated $19. They asked all of their members to give $19.08 in memory of their starting year, 1908. Wow. And they raised $14,000 for Dress for Success by everybody giving $19. So when we have these campaigns, just do the hand thing. That's 5 friends to give whatever we're asking. It doesn't have to be a lot to make it more.
That's right.
What about us doing that? Something similar. Maybe, you know, a certain time of the year, we have a program or something where we do a fundraiser that all board members are trying to, you know, we may have a flyer, we may have something on social media and say, you know, this is our month, please donate, we're trying to raise this certain amount.
Like a birthday month.
Yeah, birthday month.
That's awesome.
Something of that nature. And us as board, we're tapping into our networks, we're sending them the link, our networks the links to donate, to help our reach our goal. Just an idea, Camille. For something for fundraising.
I think the her hour, your hour, her power is a very personally easy campaign to explain to people. And to do that, to connect with your networks and say, look, think about your hourly rate and just give one hour of your time or 1 hour of your pay to us. I mean, that was a pretty, I don't know if that was a national.
I think it's a global campaign. It's not they're thinking about changing that because it was created in the midst of the pandemic. However, that campaign only works if what Diamond's point was, if everybody on the board participates.
Right.
I mean, we had 2 great years of taking that campaign from 300 the first year, taking it to something because we didn't pay it any attention and participate. So in 2021, we took that campaign from $350 and turned it into $23,000. Awesome, right?
Right.
And then in 2022, we gained another 20,000. Our goal was 23,000. We didn't quite make it, but still, we got 20,000 from it. This year, we only made 26%, and our goal was 25. We budgeted 25,000, and we made, with a contribution that just came through from Giant Eagle last week of 1,000, we've made 26% of that goal. We didn't all participate, and that's what Diamond is saying. Those things, those type of things, everybody has to ask their publics.
This is good dialogue. Any other comments, questions, or feedback? Yes, Rolanda?
I just want to say it's been a pleasure to work with Dress and just see the evolution and the willingness to embrace change and know when it's time to shift and to pivot. time to pivot and knowing that, you know, it is a wonderful time to be a woman, right? A lot of women are doing a lot of great things all over the country, all over the world. And to be in a position to support other women do greater things and unleash their potential, there's so much opportunity for dress and embracing the new vision. So I'm glad to be a part. And when you just mentioned, you know, somebody doing something, I was pulling up my computer, and I know at my college, my alumni at this university where I attended, we always have like a 50 to 50, right? And I was just thinking, I was like, you get 25 to 25. So if each board member, I think you said it's 20.
Right.
And you got 25 people to each give $25, I think it was like $15,000. Right, and so, you're right, Melanie, it doesn't take a lot, but it takes everybody to contribute. So, great work, I really am proud of you, and I can't help but be so proud of Melanie, and to see her growth and leadership over these last 25 years. So I wish Dress 25 more, and I'm happy to be on the ride.
All right, before I close, is there any other feedback, comments, questions? All right, so I'm gonna end with this. It's time to shift our approach. We have to shift our mindset, our behaviors, to have a sense of higher accountability, which gives us a sense of urgency. And as you can see, these arrows are going back and forth, right? And how I read this is, once I shift my mindset, that's gonna shift my behavior, right? And when I shift my behavior, that's gonna go back and shift my mindset. And then so forth. My behaviors is gonna shift, I'm gonna have hold myself a higher accountability, right? Which is gonna shift my behavior, and so forth. All right, so I just wanna end on that note. It's time to shift our approach. If you have any questions, any feedback, ideas, whatever, feel free to email me or Melanie, and we'll get back to you. Okay?
I did want to just thank Michael again. for-
Yes.
No, it's our pleasure. We'll try to do this again next year.
That's awesome.
I will say, this was the most fanciest building I've ever been in. All right, thank you, everyone.